today you are going to be taking some notes of our compound sentences. You have some fill-in-the-blank notes, so be sure to pay attention. Everything that you're going to need to know in order to fill in the blanks is going to be in red. Other important things are going to be in red or green. So if you see something in green, make sure to highlight it or write it in your notes if it's not already there. If you see something in red, definitely put it in your notes because it's probably filling in one of the blanks. So here we go. Today we're going to be talking about compound sentences. Compound simply means two sentences put together. That's what a compound sentence is. Compound means two. So our essential question today is, what are the key components of compound sentences, and how do I create compound sentences? Well, first of all, compound sentences are created when two complete sentences, also known as independent clauses, are joined with a comma and a coordinating conjunction. I need you to remember that complete sentences must have a subject, a verb, and a complete thought. So anytime you're putting together a compound sentence, you have to have two complete sentences. And within those complete sentences, there has to be a subject, a verb, and a complete thought. Some things you're going to need to know about in order to create compound sentences are the coordinating conjunctions. And we have a little acronym for the coordinating conjunctions. Those are the fanboys. And they stand for and, nor, but, or, yet, and so. Conjunctions are just connectors. Okay, so I know it sounds like a really big word, coordinating conjunctions, but you can also just call them the fanboys. Or, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. Or, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. Or, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. Gotta memorize them. So if we were going to make a graphic about what a compound sentence looks like, it's going to look like this: a sentence, a comma, a fanboy, and a sentence, period. So if we were talking about our sentence patterns, this is what it would look like: sentence, comma, fanboy, sentence. Notice that there's a complete sentence on both sides. Please note, you cannot join two sentences with just a comma. Doesn't happen. Can't happen. Okay? If you have a sentence and a sentence, you're going to connect them with a comma, fanboy. So to create a compound sentence, you must create an independent clause first. You've got to come up with a complete sentence. So for example, Miss Nasworth teaches English. That's a complete sentence. Yes, I know there's not a period at the end. It's going to be okay. And then we're going to create another independent clause, another complete sentence that finishes what I want to say. Like, for example, she desperately wants you to understand writing rules. I'm going to join those two sentences with a comma and one coordinating conjunction. Remember, those are the fanboys. So that I'd have something like, Miss Nasworth teaches English. There's my complete sentence, comma, and she desperately wants you to understand writing rules. There's my other complete sentence. To check whether or not I have a compound sentence, like if you were taking a test or if you were editing your own work, you'd do the following. First, you're going to circle any coordinating conjunction or fanboy that you see. Then you're going to cover up the coordinating conjunction and all the words after with a note card or your hand, like physically cover up the coordinating conjunction, the fanboy, and all the words that come after the fanboy. And then looking at what's left over at the beginning of the sentence, is it a complete sentence? Does it have a subject? Does it have a verb? Does it have a complete thought? If yes, then we're going to check the other side. We're going to cover up the conjunction, that same fanboy, and we're going to cover up everything before it. And we're going to ask ourselves, is the second part a complete sentence? Does it have a subject, a verb, and a complete thought? If so, if yes, then make sure you have a comma before the conjunction. Remember, we can't join two sentences with just a conjunction. We can't join two sentences with just a comma. If we try to join it with just a comma, that's a comma splice. If we try to join it with just a conjunction, that's a run-on. So that comma and conjunction go together if we have two sentences. Now I want you to make a special note here. Highlight it, circle it, something. If either part of that sentence is not actually a complete sentence, then you don't need a comma. So like if you cover up one side and you don't have a complete sentence, then you don't need a comma. That's really, really important, because not every fanboy needs a comma, but every fanboy that's between two sentences does need a comma. So let's practice. My mom gave me $50, but I spent it all. So first, we're going to circle that coordinating conjunction right here. And then we're going to cover up. I want you to just ignore everything from but and after. And I want you just to look at, my mom gave me $50. My mom is the subject, gave is the verb. My mom gave me $50 is a complete thought. So then I'm going to cover up the coordinating conjunction and everything in front. So I'm going to cover up what I've just read. Physically, cover it up with your hand. I spin it all. I is my subject, spin is my verb. I spin it all is my complete thought. So therefore, my mom gave me $50, comma, but I spin it all. Don't forget that comma. If you have a complete sentence on this side and a complete sentence on this side, then you have to have a comma with your conjunction. Let's practice some more. So Joe and I went to the movies. We're going to circle our conjunction. There's and. I'm going to look to the left. I'm going to cover up and everything after. On the left-hand side of and, before and, I only have the word Joe. That's not a complete sentence. It's missing a verb. It doesn't express a complete thought. So therefore, I don't need a comma. Okay? That's why we check to see, do we really need a comma or not? So we don't need a comma because in front of the and is not a sentence. So let's try another one. I didn't study before I was at the basketball game. For is kind of an old-fashioned sounding conjunction. It really just means because. Okay? So I didn't study before I was at the basketball game. We're going to circle our conjunction. We're going to check to the left. I didn't study. I is my subject. Didn't study is my verb. I didn't study. That's a complete thought. It's not the world's greatest sentence, but it's a complete thought. I was at the basketball game. I is my subject. Was is my verb. I was at the basketball game. That's a complete sentence. So if I have sentence, fanboy, sentence, then I also need a comma in front of my fanboy. I didn't study before I was at the basketball game. Now you practice on your own. We're going to pause the video. I want you to do the last 3 on your notes. And then after everyone's completed, we're going to start the video again and see if you were correct. Alright, now that you have practiced on your own, let's check. Joe went to the library, comma, so Sally met him there. Remember, we circle our so first. Joe went to the library, Joe's my subject, went is my verb, Sally's my subject, met is my verb, sentence, comma, fanboy, sentence. You can work hard or not. Does not need a comma. We don't need a comma because after or, if I circle this or, all I'm left with is not. And that's not a sentence on its own. So I don't need a comma. If either part, before or after that conjunction, that fanboy, if either side is not a sentence, you don't need a comma. Jake could choose to stay, comma, or he could go home. I circle my fanboy, I check this side, Jake could choose to stay. Jake is the subject, could choose as the verb. On this side, he could go home, he is the subject, could go as the verb. Sentence, comma, fanboy, sentence. So compound sentences should be a review from something you learned in 5th and 6th grade, but we all know that sometimes we got to knock the rust off. So I want you to remember, very first thing, if you see or use a coordinating conjunction, one of those fanboys, I want you to circle it. I want you to check either side. Joe went to the library, Sally met him there. If you've got a sentence on either side of that fanboy, then make sure that you also include a comma. If you don't have a sentence on either side, then you don't need a comma. Okay? If you have any further questions about compound sentences, please make sure to ask your teacher or come see Ms. Nasworth. Anyone can help you on this. It's really, really simple. Just remember that pattern. Sentence, comma, fanboy, sentence, period. Have a great day.